Hello everyone, I'm back in the car, a different car, not because anything's wrong, but because I don't know if I'm gonna get a little worked up filming this video, and if I do, I don't want anyone to be able to hear me because that'll make me self-conscious. So this is like a failsafe. This is so that I don't feel inhibited. I'm here today to discuss Love Never Dies, Andrew Lloyd Webber's polarizing musical sequel to his smash hit, The Phantom of the Opera. Specifically, I'm going to discuss the filmed 2013 Australian production starring Ben Lewis and Anna O'Byrne, which streamed on YouTube this past weekend. Officially, I had not seen this production before, but I had seen many clips. I knew pretty much everything there was to know about it, I think. And before I watched it, I felt like I knew how this review was going to go if I chose to review it. But now that I have seen it, I'm flummoxed because my reaction is more complicated than I expected. But before we go into my feelings, let's throw a little background out there. This show was a long time in the making. Apparently, Andrew Lloyd Webber wanted to make a sequel as far back as 1990, which is insane to me because I never once thought that the musical begged for a sequel. Fanfiction, yes, bring it on, but an official sequel? For ages, it seemed like this idea was never going to get off the ground, including that one time that Andrew Lloyd Webber's cat deleted all his music. But he persisted, and the show, starring Ramin Karimloo and Sierra Boggess as the Phantom and Christine Daae respectively, premiered in London in 2010. And it got mixed reviews. There were people who liked it, genuinely. There were some people who had good things and bad things to say about it. And there were people who absolutely hated it. Nobody was more critical of the Phantom of the Opera sequel than the OG Phantom of the Opera fans who loved the original show with a passion and were perfectly fine with the way it ended, and so for this upstart sequel to come along and change things, and how it changed things, was like a massive insult. That's the camp I fell into. I hated this musical's very existence and said a lot of angry, snarky things about it, in the privacy of my own home, of course. I had no intention of conceding that it had any good points. That was still my position, even after I listened to the original London cast recording and admitted that, hey, you know, some of this music isn't bad. And that was still my position after I watched some bootleg videos of the show and even got a little teary-eyed at the end, which felt like a massive betrayal. You enjoyed watching some of that? You got emotional at the ending? What kind of Phantom fan are you? In 2013, a new production was staged in Melbourne, Australia. This version of the show was professionally filmed and released on DVD, and it is this version that was put on YouTube recently for a limited time only. And because it was there, I decided to watch it, or at least try watching it, hoping for the best and bracing for the worst. And now I find myself in kind of a quandary, because darn it, I didn't hate it. I thought I was gonna hate it. I was ready to hate it. I almost wanted to hate it, and I don't. Oh, there are still things I hate about it. They made some changes, but they didn't change the worst stuff. To do that, they'd have to pretty much change the entire story. But even if I have major objections to the plot and most of the characterizations, I still can't bring myself to make a blanket negative statement about it. Let's address the stuff I hate first, meaning let's talk about the plot. The premise is that Madame Giry and her daughter Meg helped the Phantom escape from the angry mob, and they all came to Coney Island together. That right there has some stuff that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but whatever, keep going. 10 years later, the Phantom has made a name for himself as Mr. Y, get it, and has a show called Phantasma, which is like a cross between a circus and a burlesque theater. Okay, Meg Giry has become the Ooh La La girl and is performing tawdry, crowd-pleasing numbers and hoping desperately that the Phantom will be watching and make her a star. I'm not sure if she's in love with him or just wants him to make her famous. I'm also not sure if he's writing her songs or not. The stuff she performs does not seem like his type of thing, but without Christine, he's lost his mojo. Madame Giry is an ambitious stage mom now, and for some reason she suddenly loathes Christine for betraying the Phantom and leaving him. She and Meg are the ones who have stuck by him and loved him and helped to progress his career, and so they're the ones who should get his attention and his rewards. I don't know. Suddenly Christine shows up with her husband Raoul and son Gustave in tow, and poor Raoul is the one who suffers the most from character assassination because, once again, the climax of the play needs to be, which one is Christine going to choose? And to make that work, she can't be happily married, so Raoul is turned into a mean alcoholic who blew his money gambling, and I hate this so much. Thank you, Frederick Forsyth, for this abominable storyline. Anyway, Christine's been invited to New York to sing for a fancy gala hosted by Oscar Hammerstein. That's when the Phantom shows up to make his move, coercing her to sing for him and to sing the song that he wrote. Then they sing a number titled Beneath a Moonless Sky, which is pretty notorious in Phantom circles. And that's where we find out that before she married Raoul, Christine went back to the lair and found the Phantom, and conveniently in the dark, in spite of everything, they spent the night together, and then he left her, and she was like, what gives? And she went off and married Raoul. I hate this. I hate this so much, because, well, not only is the song repetitive and tedious, and just the lyrics are so, I don't know, they're clunky or something, but besides that, it just completely undermines the powerful, emotional ending of the original show. It's worse than the blatant character assassination of most of the supporting cast. I could get past that if there wasn't for this thing that was like, okay, so you know what happened at the end of the show? You know how that was, like, really moving? And, like, it's so touching that she makes this sacrificial move and shows him compassion, and he's, like, so stunned by it that he, like, almost keels over, and then he lets them go, and then she comes back to return the ring, and he's like, I love you, and she's like, ooh, but she then goes off with Raoul, and then he has this magical disappearing act, like, don't mess with that. It wasn't broken, so you don't need to fix it. I'm not saying that the original show is perfect, but clearly people love it just the way it is. They've loved it for decades. So, why are you, like, retconning the way it ends? Why? The thing is, much as I would say, well, just cut that part out, you can't, because, Gustave, Christine's son. So, you can see where this is going. The kid's a musical genius who likes dark, weird stuff. You gotta love the moment when the Phantom does a little quick math. 10 years old! So basically, Love Never Dies is a Phantom fanfiction where Raoul, Madame Giry, and Meg Giry are forced to fill the antagonist gap, and the Phantom and Christine have a love child that binds them together. That's the plot, and I hate it. I hate it as a continuation of the story I love, and it's not at all what I would have wanted. But, big but here, I find I don't hate the musical as a whole, and I didn't hate this Australian production. The production itself is very impressive. The design is incredible. It's got these amazing set pieces, and all these imaginative mechanicals that the Phantom is supposed to have invented and designed himself. It's colorful and exciting and lively. I don't like everything they did. Some of the visuals are pretty weird, and, you know, the circus stuff, I'm not into that. But it's very rich, i.e. expensive looking, and it's very cinematic. It was engaging to watch. The camera is almost always in motion. The performers do an excellent job. It's not their fault that the characters have been messed with and at times changed beyond recognition. They work with what they've been given, delivering strong performances that are convincing even when the script is lacking. I didn't love Ben Lewis's Phantom, He had to grow on me a bit, and the mask design somehow made his eyes look really crazy, but I liked his upper register. I preferred when he sang in the upper register. Anna O'Byrne, I didn't have the strongest expectations from her. I always thought she seemed and sounded, based on clips that I'd watched, a little bit underwhelming, but watching the show, I thought she was fine. The kid who plays Gustav, he was great, he was cute. Raoul, he sold it. Madame Giry, I hated what they did to her character, but her voice was really good. Meg Giry, I can't believe how she sold me on that character's mental fragility. No way do I buy that it's the same person that you see in the original show, but I was able to understand this character. She goes through a lot of emotional highs and lows, and she conveys all of that in her voice and in her expression, and so I was favorably impressed with the performances. And I can't lie, a good deal of the music is just gorgeous. Till I Hear You Sing, The Phantom's big solo, is a great song. I was surprised that they put it in right at the beginning. In a show that's kind of a gamble, I would think you would want to hold on to the best song until the end of the first act, or maybe even the second act, but nope, they made a bold choice. I like the melody and the orchestrations of the Coney Island Waltz, and Only For You is fun and catchy. It's really bright. The show does not have very much brightness, so the couple of bright numbers, they really stand out. I like Dear Old Friend, where the Girys and the Deschagnes are reunited, for better or for worse. It's reminiscent of Notes, though not as amusing. I like Beautiful. I like the modulations and the segues. I hated the beauty underneath the first time I heard it. I was like, what is this? This doesn't fit, this is weird! But it's only as out of place in the score as the title song was in the original show. In the Australian production, I don't necessarily care for the way they staged the scene and the way they filmed it. Kind of feels like an acid trip or something. But honestly, if I'm going to find myself singing any song from this show, it's most likely gonna be this one. It rocks pretty hard, the music is complex and interesting, and there's a great contrast between the Phantom's edgy vocals and Gustav's pure tone. Weirdly, there is a 2018 recording of this show, which in almost every respect is the exact same audio from this production, except they did make a couple changes. One thing is that they substituted a completely different version of The Beauty Underneath. The music is changed, the lyrics are changed. The Phantom comes across as less creepy, and it incorporates the Sing For Me part from the original title song, which is cool, with Gustav singing Christine's part. But otherwise, I don't prefer that version. And they got rid of the 10 years old part! Come on! Anyway, that's a rabbit trail. I also really like the song Why Does She Love Me, which is Raoul's morose solo. I guess I don't like that he's in a position to be singing it, but in Act 2, they do repair some of the damage they did to his character. It's kind of too little too late, but the thing is, neither Raoul nor the Phantom are awesome. The Phantom's kind of a jerk and Raoul's kind of a jerk. So it's like, this is the choice that Christine is stuck with? Love Never Dies is Christine's big solo number, done in a fantastic peacock dress. Melodically, it's beautiful, and Anna O'Byrne does an amazing job with it, but the lyrics, what I can understand of them, leave something to be desired. They get a little too high in the stratosphere for you to really understand what she's saying, and this is supposed to be a really big moment where Raoul and the Phantom are watching from the wings, and they're getting the message of what she's trying to say, and it's like, well, maybe you guys know what she's saying, but I'm not getting it. The show ends disappointingly with a melodramatic and kind of absurd hostage situation, and I feel like, I can't believe this is the ending of the Phantom sequel. Andrew Lloyd Webber worked all this time on this, and this is what he came up with? I don't like it. However, I did get emotional watching it. The music and the actors' commitment to the emotions in the moment and just the situation that's playing out, are such that I'd probably be moved by the ending, even if it wasn't Phantom, which makes me realize that the fact that it's claiming to be a Phantom continuation is probably a detriment. I reject it as a sequel. I have to. I can't embrace the things that it has happened to these characters in the interim. I don't like it, and I feel like it doesn't even match up with what we see in the original show, so no, I will not accept that. Otherwise, though, I'm like choking on saying this, otherwise, Love Never Dies, especially if you take it on its own, is not so bad. Even then, there are elements I don't like, but looking at it that way, it does not inspire me with visceral negativity like it does otherwise. So, I guess it's just a matter of perspective. Alright, I had to get that out of my system. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Love Never Dies. I imagine some of you must know a little bit about it. Please feel free to share any thoughts you have on it in the comments below. I look forward to reading them, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.